Hi, my name is Anita Gonzalez, and I'm a writer, director, and educator. I'm also a professor of performing arts and African American studies at Georgetown University and co-founder of their Racial Justice Institute. Today, I'm in conversation with two artists who have participated in the Three Arts Bodies of Work Residency Fellowships. This is part of a series of conversations designed to promote the art of deaf and disabled artists and their experiences in the disability culture community. Justin Cooper is a Black visual artist and disability advocate who's been working in art, filmmaking, and photography professionally since 2012. He is the creator of the documentary film, The Wheelchair Chronicles, is president of the Young Professionals Council to Access Living, and founder of the media company Cooper Industries, which focuses on his filmmaking, film production, and photography work. Antonio Davis is a Chicago-based painter, videographer, and activist whose passion has always been art. After becoming quadriplegic, he was introduced to mouth painting, and since then has developed his talent and joined the Mouth and Foot Painting Association. Welcome to the two of you. I've had a chance to peruse and look at your websites and all of the amazing products that you've created, so I'm really thrilled to be in conversation with you today. I'm going to start off by asking Justin, if you could take a moment to describe your art. I'm interested in the things that drive you creatively, what's important to you in your work as an artist. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Justin.
So my work is primarily centered around the work that I do as a disability advocate and an activist, highlighting like accessibility issues within the city of Chicago. And so like in my travels, I see a lot of issues that come forth in terms of when it comes to accessibility. The work that I've done, especially in the last couple of years during the pandemic, is really highlighting like what I see from an accessibility standpoint and what I see from an inaccessibility standpoint. I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about, these issues and don't really, don't really see them or pay attention to them. And with the work that I do and with my photography work, I really want to highlight those issues so that we can drive the conversation, when it comes to accessibility issues.
Yes, I really appreciate your film, for example, The Wheelchair Chronicles, because it gives us a real insight into what it means to have places that are not as accessible as they should be to other people. Antonia, what about you? Can you take a moment to describe your art?
Well, my art centers around various different subjects. Since I've been painting professionally for the last 13 to 14 years. So it depends on what state of mind I'm in. If I'm going to paint commercially, I work with a lot of landscapes, which my landscapes usually depict beauty and serenity and something to make you think about, something to soothe your mood. I call it the power of the healing arts. Because if you look at some of my pieces, you can meditate, you can go into a different state. And I call it just take your cares away with some of those landscapes and some of the rocks, the movements of my work. And then I go into portraiture. I have a lot of portraits that's really meaningful. So when I'm in a state of activism, like I have a piece by Muhammad Ali that I call Courage. And with that piece, I wanted to highlight the courage that it took for Muhammad Ali to stand up against uh, our country, our government. So I have so many different aspects of my art that I tend to go into. It depends on the state that I'm in.
I think it's interesting because you have such a broad range of subject areas, right? You paint all different kinds of people and all kinds of places, and also sometimes in more subdued colors and sometimes in bright colors. It's really impressive to see someone who has such a broad range of what they are able to paint. And I think that speaks to the possibilities that one has in life. So, Antonio, drawing upon your experience in the Three Arts Bodies of Work Residency Fellowship, can you talk about how your work relates to disability aesthetics It could be in terms of content or form or creative process. In which way do you see your work in conversation?
Well, with that fellowship, I was able to really narrow down and focus on disability culture, um, and my portrait work. I was commissioned to do a portrait of Marka Briscoe, who was the founder and CEO of Access Living, and she founded Access Living, which is a great, beautiful organization that help people with disabilities get out of nursing homes and have independent living. So, I was actually in a nursing home like 20 years ago. So I felt full circle to come back around and get that commission from Access Living to paint somebody who literally helped thousands of people get out of nursing home. So I created that portrait and I talked about that in my fellowship. And also I talked about the other portraits of disabled, recognized celebrities and figures who just stood up for disabled rights. So that fellowship was great for me. It helped me hone in what I was looking to do during that fellowship and at the time of my career.
Justin, would you talk a little bit about your experience with the Three Arts Bodies of Work Fellowship?
I think for me, it's two things, and I think it's similar. I think, like to Antonio, I think being a part of this fellowship really connected me to a lot of like disabled artists like in the community, and it really like made me feel like I was actually like a part, of that community. And so for the longest time, I always felt that I was like kind of doing things by myself, or that like the work that I was doing like wasn't like really like being recognized. But through this fellowship, I found out that there's so many people like who, one, know my work, two, are like thrilled to be like wanting to collaborate with me and wanted to talk more about like what we can do, for our community, for the disabled art community, here in Chicago. And just like being in awe of like so many cool, like so many other like badass artists who are like really cool, and like knowing who I am, and like, yeah, you're a badass just like all of us. And so being in that having that community through this fellowship has just been so amazing. And the second thing for me was like I learned so much about myself in how I do my photography work, and really the process that goes into it. There's a physicality process that comes into it. There's like ways of like where I travel in my wheelchair trying to get perfect shots and trying to, navigate through areas that are like really difficult, for me as a wheelchair user, and making me really think about like, going forward, like how I present my photos and how I showcase them, and learning about like the work that I do to put this all together. And so learning more about the process has really elevated what I feel like my work, where my work is like currently at.
It's really interesting the way that both of you are talking about the Chicago disability arts community, and especially the things that it's offered to you. Do either of you want to elaborate on what things you gained by being specifically in Chicago and being connected through Three Arts?
Yes, for me, being here in Chicago has been very, very helpful because Chicago is one of the leading cities in disability culture and in disability foundation. So to draw off my experience, I've worked with a lot of different foundations that's disabled oriented, who put disability first, like the Obama Foundation, and definitely Shirley Ryan's Ability Lab. That's the hospital that I literally rehabbed at and learned about mouth painting. So for me to be here in Chicago was a blessing uh, that was bestowed upon me, and to learn about all the different artists in the communities. I have known a lot of, like Justin say, badass artists. I have watched me, Rebecca, and Miriam have came up through the ranks together. I mean, that's just a few. Over the years, we have watched each other grow and shared and enjoyed each other and cheered each other on. And then to get to meet Justin and the rest of the new artists that's coming in and kicking ass, I love it.
So I'm curious because each time we've spoken or met, you talk about Justin and he talks about you, and I wonder what the two of you talk about when you talk together.
I'm always like in awe of like the work that Antonio does, and learning his connection, like to the disability arts community, because we met. I think we met like a few months ago for I think one of his workshops. It was like such a connection that we have with each other because one, we're Black disabled artists, and being able to share like our own stories of being Black and disabled and being able to share that with each other. That's I always felt like we had a strong connection from there, and being able to talk to each other about different issues that's happening in the community. I think that's something that me and him have really had like a strong connection. Being able to be a part of this with him is something that like it's just really good for me because like it motivates me for my work because like I see so many of the awesome things that he's done. Many of his paintings and his the painting of Marka is like something that really stood out to me because I have a connection with her and I have a connection through Access Living. And so yeah, being able to share that's just been such an amazing like experience for me.
Have you had any challenges gaining access, funding, or training within your fields? I know that Antonio was talking about learning about mouth painting from the center. And how about you, Justin? How about training?
I've actually been learning from myself, really learning on the fly just through my travels. It's a learning process for me because now like I'm really working to get my work out there, more for people to see. I'm still learning about like trying to apply for grants and learning how to write grants and doing all of these different things. It's been an interesting journey trying to put that all together and trying to find that. But I think overall for me, like I was just really, just training on my own, just doing my travels in my wheelchair. That's kind of been guiding, me through like the past, like during this time as an artist.
Okay, thank you for that. Justin, do you have a question you'd like to ask Antonio?
Yes, I wanted to know from you, like, what is the process that you go through when it comes to either creating a new painting or like on an existing or on an existing one, like for example, your painting of Marco. What was your process going through that?
My process for painting Marka was kind of extensive. I totally went through her whole life story. I look back at her journey and her life experience so I can really try to embody what she represented, not only for the disability community, but also for her family, because I wanted that portrait to really resonate with the people that loved her and she loved them.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted that piece to really be special. Then I went through my normal workflow, Justin. Just mocked up a couple of studies, color studies, couple of sketches of composition. What would be most powerful because she was a giant in our community. So when I came up with that pose at her fist handing up, and she was at Wrigley. So I used a reference. I had a little reference photo that when she was at Wrigley, and she was just like, disability rights are human rights.
Yes.
Right.
So
Yes.
I just went through it, man. I actually did a time lapse of. Did you see the time lapse of me painting her?
I saw that.
So I was like in a zone.
Yes.
I was in my zone, and then I made it huge. She was such a giant that I painted that portrait. It was a 48 by 36.
Ooh.
So her stature. So when you walk in Access Living, is right in the front, and she's right there, like her spirit is there. She is like victory. I titled it Victory.
Exactly.
Because she made her dream come to life. when she founded that organization. I'm very proud of that
Yeah,
portrait. I'm glad you asked me that question.
I'm glad that you said that because, like, as a person that has, volunteered at Access Living, through different organizations and like being like the current like president of their Young Professionals Council, her spirit still lives on, at Access Living, and so I see that, through that painting, and I see just like that her spirit is just like living on like through Access Living and through the entire disability community. And so like that painting means so much to me, and I know that it means like so much to so many people within the disability community. And like I thank you for that brother, because that's just so it's so powerful.
So I have one last question for the two of you, and it is, what are you dreaming about for your own practice or for the disability arts movement?
For me, I'm a work in progress right now, as we all are. so,
Yeah, absolutely.
so I'm just right now I'm working. I'm thinking about new ideas, new ways to come up, new concepts to move forward, new paintings, new styles, new people to inspire, and just keeping it moving forward. I got a lot of opportunities ahead of me, a lot of things that I still want to look back on and improve and keep connecting. I love that I got invited to this fellowship from Three Arts. I wasn't expecting it, but it was wonderful.
What am I dreaming about, dude? That's a lot to think about. My mind is all over the place when it comes to like my dreams and hopes for the future. One of my main hopes is like really continuing to expand on the work, that I do as a photographer, and to really continuing to highlight a lot of issues that pertain to people within the disability community. Through this fellowship, it's like really helped me grow and really helped me like tell the story of like my experience as a disabled person. Being able to like, I never dreamt, like after the fellowship, I actually had a chance to showcase some of my photography through an exhibition at UIC's Gallery 400. And that's like something that I never really dreamt about. And it happened, and being able to see like the results of it, and hearing from folks, who are just really so proud of the work, that I'm doing, and really continuing to spread awareness about like disability rights. And so I want to continue to do that. And I think, as, the work that I do as an advocate and activist, I really want to create, a legacy for future generations, future, disabled artists in this community, and really giving them a space to be able to grow, to be able to grow as an artist, being able to find, themselves as an artist. And so I want to really continue, to help, grow this community, because there's so many amazing people within it from various backgrounds who are just doing just great things. And I want to continue, to build upon that, so that, so that we can continue to have future generations of disabled artists just doing badass things in the community.
I'm very encouraged by the work that both of you are doing in this way, I see the activism. I also see the camaraderie between the two of you. Well, I think those are all the questions I have. I'm really interested in how the two of you, because you're both working with visual arts, create and develop audiences, but it seems as if the audiences are drawn to the work that you're doing because of its beauty and its quality, and for what it helps people to understand about disability life and just life in general. So I thank you for all of that. You guys are awesome. It's wonderful to see you smile.
Thank you.